Welcome back to the Gaithersburg Premier Challenge here at Play More Games. My name's Tito. I'll be your pilot this evening. Now we are here in top 4.
Doesn't have to download it.
Okay, then he just does it.
You have to roll download it. I'm saying I remember Tito did that earlier today. Yeah, you're right.
So we're gonna have Brian versus Abdul here.
Please choose good music. I'm Giovanni.
So here we go. We're here into team preview. You guys seen both these teams before, fairly recently. So it's more of a matchup that we're looking at. So key differences on this team: we got the stack attack. Others deal an immediate check to the Xerneas coming in from Abdul, but we do have here we don't have like a weather war coming in. We do not have a weather war. Considering that only the Groudon is in play between both of these teams. There's no Kyogre. We do have the Lunala though, so Lunala Xerneas being the restricted mons, Groudon and Xerneas being in for a duel here. Both teams running Intimidate, obviously, in the form of Incineroar. The Steel types, Stakataka and Bronzong. Bronzong serving a much different purpose than Stakataka. So interesting to see if that Bronzong decides to make an appearance here. But here we go. So the Xerneas plus the excuse me. Oh, so the Bronzong actually is making an appearance here. So the first time we're seeing the Bronzong come onto the board here. Xerneas and Smeargle for Brian. So we'll see here. So the fake out pressure is there against Smeargle. One of the staples of competitive play over the years. And the Lunala will come into place of that Xerneas. The fake out will indeed come into that Bronzong slot. Let's see what the Finny does. The Finny is going to just go straight into a Nature's Madness into that Lunala slot, bypassing the Shadow Shield. Defense rolls sharply, the special defense. So, what you want, obviously, if you're running Focus Sash on the Smeargle is the evasiveness, but that's okay. And here we go. Teams are updated. Okay. We are in the home stretch here, top 4. Smeargle will come back out. Xerneas will come back in. Misty Terrain still on the board. Bronzong will return here on the side of Abdul and bring in the Incineroar. Bringing in his own fake out pressure. Intimidate not going to be very relevant here. Moongeist Beam going to connect. Onto that Incineroar slot, going to do an okay amount of damage, but the Icy Wind, this is the important thing. Now we have speed control. As we know, Abdul, his Tapu Fini is a little bit more, is very supportive actually. Really there to facilitate the rest of the mons on his team here. We shall see. Well, the fake out pressure is definitely here. Lunala already at half HP. Lunala will indeed return, noticing that it's in immediate danger. Incineroar will come in as the last mon for Brian here. The Intimidate will take an effect onto the Incineroar coming in from Abdul, but the Xerneas will go into straight A Protect. Swagger onto his own Incineroar, going to give him a huge attack buff, the +2, but will not be confused on account of the misty terrain. So we have a huge Incineroar, here, but it is only +1 because of the Intimidate, bringing it down to -1. So bringing it up back to +1. So lots of damage coming through still. +1 Incineroar, nothing to scoff at. Here comes the fake out onto that strong Incineroar. Nature's Madness going to connect as well into the Xerneas slot, bringing it all the way down about half. Geomancy will indeed connect, or will go off rather. There it is. This Incineroar is in immediate danger here. Even a Dazzling Gleam from a Geomancied up Xerneas will, from this percentage, be able to pick up the KO more than likely. Well, here comes the Moonblast instead. Single target damage straight onto that Incineroar slot, going to be able to pick up the KO with ease. And the Nature's Madness once again onto that Incineroar, bringing it back down to half. But here comes the knockoff as well, going to be able to knock off that Wiki Berry. Not being able, now he's not able to bring up the HP should he be on the brink of death. But the Bronzong going to return here. So half HP on both of these mons. But Bronzong definitely are going to be able to deal with his Xerneas in some capacity. However, Abdul has to be wary of this Incineroar at one flare, but it's going to take a massive chunk off the Bronzong. So let's see how he maneuvers the board here. Still has yet to reveal his last Pokemon. And still has the Smeargle as well as the Lunala in the back. But here comes the Moonblast going straight into the Bronzong slot. Let's see how much this does. This is going to do clean him out about 40%, a little bit more. Will get the special attack drop here. Heal Pulse straight onto that Bronzong, bringing it up all the way back up to full HP here. The knockoff as well. Boom. Knockoff going to walk off that berry, but the Trick Room will go off thanks to that Heal Pulse. Abdul essentially ensuring that the Bronzong will get the Trick Room off. He's going to withdraw the Tapu Fini here and reveal his last Pokemon here is indeed Groudon. Going to bring in the Sun as well with it. Xerneas will elect to go for a Protect. Gyro Ball into that slot. Going to get Protect off. The Flare Blitz going to come straight out into the Bronzong, going to be able to pick up the KO amidst the Trick Room. And did get the Trick Room off, however, all in vain. Xerneas still powered up, boosted up because of that Geomancy. And the Fini will return. Incineroar will indeed go for another Flare Blitz. A Trick Room, it being the last move, going to do an okay amount, about 40% onto the Groudon. Going to be able to proc its own berry here as well, so little added bonus, going to bring it back up to well over half. Swagger onto the Groudon here, trying to make something happen. Going for a Precipice Blade's going to connect on both, plus the +2. Going to be doing a massive amount of damage, and it will be able to pick up the KO on both of these monsters. That Trick Room definitely paying off here. So the Lunala and the Smeargle are coming in now. Full HP on the Smeargle. Has Fake Out, I believe. So Precipice Blades definitely looks like to be the play. Tapu Fini, I'm not sure. Maybe Tapu Fini goes for... Well, here comes the Fake Out as well, straight into the Groudon slot. Not going for Protect, but the Heal Pulse instead. Going to bring him back up to full HP. Really taking advantage of the Trick Room. And here comes the Moongeist Beam. Let's see how much damage. The amount of damage here is going to really matter. Okay, going to bring him all the way back down to slightly below half HP. But remember, the Trick Room is still up. Oh, but you got the speed drop? I don't think that matters. Smeargle usually built incredibly fast. And Smeargle going for the wide guard. Trying to anticipate the Precipice Blades, but going straight for another Heal Pulse to bring him back up to full HP. So revealing that he does have, but he actually went straight for the Fire Punch instead of the Precipice Blades. Understanding that the threat is the Lunala, not risking the eventuality of a wide guard, or possibility of a wide guard, I should say. So good stuff using the single target Fire Punch by Abdul here. So, Abdul winning game number 1. A couple of really good plays. The Trick Room was definitely the game winner for that. He was able to effectively Heal Pulse, keep supporting, first get the boost off of the Swagger, off of his Groudon, then continuously heal it through the use of that Heal Pulse, really supporting the sweeper on his team. Really supporting it. And that's the use. That's one of the great things about Tapu Fini, is that you have the ability to really. It's one of the most versatile mons in the meta right now. In the last couple of years, even it's just able to create so many different builds, and he's chosen a build and a team composition that really utilizes all the coverage and all the support moves that Tapu Fini, Icy Wind, Swagger, Heal Pulse, just being able to consistently put himself in a position where, should the Trick Room go off, he can support whatever strong sweeper, whether it be Groudon, whether it be, without Trick Room, obviously, whether it be Xerneas, he's just consistently being able, using the Fini to support. So, good stuff. Well, here we go. Incineroar and Xerneas, switching it up, going for the Incineroar instead. Tapu Fini and Xerneas, so he's going to lead with the Xerneas instead, not leading with the Bronzong as he did in the previous game. And the Misty Terrain will take the board as well, giving Tapu Fini the ability to Swagger. So the Geomancy will indeed go off here. Gonna get that boost right there as well. Brian will also do the same. So now we have two. So I'm very interested to see what this Incineroar specifically does. Does it go for a knockoff to get rid of the berry on the Finny? Excuse me. Does he decide that he wants to switch out? It's a little bit of a really interested to see what he decides to do here. Sorry about that, guys. But he's gonna go for a Moonblast for right now, straight onto the Incineroar slot, not electing to switch out, but will get brought down all the way to the berry here. So +2. Obviously, Brian nodding. He's obviously trained for that, or at the very least, it's a roll. And here comes the Moonblast on the Finny himself, and the Finny will live as well and will proc the berry of his own. So, but unfortunately, we'll get the special attack drop. But for this Finny specifically, it's not that big of a deal because it's obviously serving a much different purpose. The damage, it's not necessarily its focus. But the Nature's Madness will come off onto the Xerneas, going to take it down to half HP. The Incineroar going to connect with a Roar. So bringing in a Groudon as well. So the Groudon going to come in that place thanks to the Roar from Incineroar. You have a couple of choices with this Groudon here. The Xerneas is still +2, obviously, so definitely can use Moonblast to do a significant amount of damage and definitely pick up the KO on it. Top of Finny. But instead, he's going to go straight for the Protect. The Groudon going for a Precipice Blades. Here we go. And it will be able to pick up the KO on the Incineroar. Xerneas, however, is able to effectively stay alive, and the Swagger as well, bringing it up to +2. So what does Brian decide to bring in here? Brian decides to bring in the Smeargle. At this point in time, it's already shown us Wide Guard, Fake Out. Fake Out pressure is going to be huge in this specific moment. You have a couple of options here. Groudon going for the Protect, understanding that it's definitely the threat on the board. Smeargle going for the Fake Out onto that slot. And the Xerneas from Brian setting up the Substitute as well, hiding safely behind that doll. And Nature's Madness. Cut the doll in half. Moody as well going off. Now, the Xerneas is in an amazing position to start pumping out damage. Groudon already used its Protect. Definitely the Finny is also in Moonblast range should he decide to go that route. Smeargle has a couple of options here. Definitely has the Wide Guard as an option should it decide it's going to go for Precipice Blades, but that Smeargle is sitting pretty. The Tapu Fini will now return and bring back in his own Xerneas without all the buffs and without a Power Herb either. Ferret Aura obviously going to activate here upon its entry. The Follow Me going to take place. Moonblast going to connect as well. This is a huge Moonblast. +2 Geomancy going to be able to pick up the KO onto that Groudon. That Groudon is going down in a critical hit as well. The critical hit. I don't play Groudon. I'm going to be completely transparent. I don't know if that can matter. You guys would know more than I would. I'm gonna be completely transparent. I don't play Groudon. So I don't know that count. I could admit when I don't know something. Regardless, consider we're going to come in and use its own fake out onto the Smeargle. The substitute's obviously putting him in an amazing position here. The Moonblast is going to come through. Big damage onto so now we're going to pop his Figgy Berry as well. Dazzling Gleam. Hopefully going to get rid of that. Yep, and the substitute will indefinitely fade. And 52, excuse me, was that 20? Regardless, red health for Smeargle. No substitute anymore. But remember, he is still +2 on speed, so definitely going to be the fastest thing on the board. That does damage anyway, excuse me. Here comes the Follow Me. Xerneas is going to go for the Moonblast onto the Incineroar. Going to be able to pick up the KO on that as well. So here comes another Dazzling Gleam. And Xerneas will not go down, but Smeargle will return. And the Lunala will come in. So the Lunala coming through, having the Shadow Shield ability. Tapu Fini coming in as well. That very supportive Mon has the access to the Heal Pulse, but the Xerneas at 24 HP. The Xerneas is the obvious threat here. Just by the sheer nature of its speed and going to be able to dump out a lot of damage. One Moonblast onto that Tapu Fini, and the Tapu Fini will definitely go down. We saw how much damage it did earlier, but the Protect is going to come in as well. Moongeist Beam onto the Xerneas slot. Let's see what this... The Icy Wind going to come through and lower the speed of the Lunala. Breaking the Shadow Shield as well. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't... But here comes the Moonblast onto the Tapu Fini slot. Going to be able to pick up the KO right there. Yeah, Abdul understanding that that's going to be game number 2. And here we're going to game number 3. Abdul understanding that there's really nothing he can do. That 2v1, one of them is going to eventually be able to pick up the KO. Here we are, game number 3. Sorry, I should probably keep up with chat. You need a lot of speed up. Yeah, I'm sure. I just wasn't aware of the actual of the calc because I do not play either of those mons at the moment, or probably ever. I'll never play Xerneas. So here we go, game number 3. Some mons that we haven't seen so far. Not saying they should bring them, but just for peace of mind, we haven't seen Stack Attacker yet, so that is an option if you would like to bring it. We haven't seen Venusaur either, I believe. So a couple of... If you wanted to change the direction of the battle, these are some They both definitely have some options here if they decide that they want to switch up the teams that they're bringing here. Xerneas and Incineroar for Brian. Groudon and Venusaur. So here comes the Venusaur here. Has access to that sleep powder that we're all so familiar with. So we have Geomancy, we can put him to sleep, but we also have Fake Out Pressure on the side for Brian, so we do have some options here. This first turn is definitely a tempo turn. It's going to very dictate the how the rest of the battle goes, more so than average, just because of the nature of whether or not the Geomancy will indeed go off. But here comes the Protect, the Fake Out onto that slot as well. The Geomancy going to come through, activate that Power Herb. So not taking any damage so far is the Venusaur. And Groudon going for a Swords Dance himself. Both wands have set up here in their own ways. We have the, Swords Dance from Groudon, the Geomancy from Xerneas. Xerneas going to go through with the Protect here, possibly anticipating a Precipice Blades. Sleep Powder going to go into that slot, but not going to connect, obviously, into that Protect. And now, after the Swords Dance, the Groudon will connect into the Incineroar with the Precipice Blades and will easily be able to pick the KO right there. You have to be wary of that Sleep Powder. So the Smeargle will come through with its own Fake Out Pressure. But the Venusaur will elect to protect this turn. Wow, he doubled up into the Venusaur for fear of the Sleep Powder, but here comes the Precipice Blades. Abdul connecting with both. The Focus Sash will activate, giving him 1 HP. Speed falls onto the Smeargle here. Very interesting turn right there. He had elected to double up on the Venusaur, but the Follow Me going to come through onto the Smeargle here. And the Moon Blast onto the Groudon will proc the berry. All Abdul needs to do is, connect with this Precipice Blade. But there is the Sludge Bomb. Fire Punch going to come through. Instead of going for the Precipice Blades, he goes straight for the Fire Punch, but the Fire Punch wasn't enough. Fire Punch was not enough. Ignore this. There we go. The Fire Punch was not enough to pick up the KO, living with only a sliver of HP, but here comes the Protect. Lunala coming out as well. Sleep Powder on the Lunala. And the Precipice Blades as well will come through. Lunala, still with the Shadow Shield ability, going to be able to take a significant amount less damage because of that ability. But now, because it is no longer at full HP, that is not the case. Lunala is asleep. Xerneas will go for the double protect, but the last will not get it, and will get the sleep. Venusaur going for the Sludge Bomb onto the Xerneas slot. Will be able to pick up that KO as well. And the Precipice Blades will connect. And it will be the end of Abdul being able to pick up the win right there. 2-1. The 4-0 victory, very convincing, being able to use the Venusaur. The Venusaur was definitely the MVP of that matchup. As first glance, you guys might think, oh, or a lot of people might think, you know, Groudon was out here getting the KOs. No, it was the Venusaur consistently putting pressure with the Sleep Powder. Brian consistently trying to play around it. There was that very questionable double up onto the Venusaur during that one turn, which I'm not necessarily sure if I agree with. Maybe in hindsight, it would have been better. It would have been better to go for to get damage on the Groudon, excuse me, but instead he elected to go for that and was able to take so much damage from the Precipice Blade. So the Groudon coming through. So good stuff to Abdul. He will advance to finals.